I just appreciate everybody watching.
Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive, this is Trap or Dive.
Here we go. What's going on? What's going on? Good morning to everybody. Happy Monday, man. Wake that ass up. The weekend is over, unfortunately. But welcome into the Trap or Dive Commanders, Washington Commanders morning show. Let's get through the administrative item right quick. If you are new to the Trap or Dive podcast, Trap or Dive channel, make sure you hit that like button make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch, that subscribe button on YouTube. And obviously hit that like button as well as we keep going. Later on in the show, it's not going to be a long show today, but I will make sure to open up the floor just in case anybody wants to get some things off their chest and things like that. So we will have a link for anybody to join. Let me go ahead and check these things. Rich, hey, yeah, for sure. I guess we can start off with B-Rob. What's going on, Rich? Good morning. And shout out to the Commanders, and obviously blessings to B-Rob and his recovery. And I think the female that got shot as well, she had gotten grazed on her head from a bullet. And I think the biggest thing when we talk about like the issues in DC, it is pretty wild. 8th Street, it's not uncommon to have crime there, but what throws me off sometimes is like that stuff happening in broad daylight. So apparently it's 2 juveniles and stuff like that, and we don't have to dive deep into that aspect of everything because that's when things get messy and complicated, man. I'm not no political guy, and I hate entertaining the idea of having to fight a political battle on these type of platforms. I know like the longer you talk about these things, the more you kind of discuss, you eventually dive into the politics, and I ain't with all that. Right. I do know what's going on in the city. The city's been wild for a little minute. So I know that much. Right. But prayers out to B-Rob. And I think one of the things that from his perspective, I'm glad that he survived. I think another thing that we should take into account now is that like him and just generally athletes and people within our culture, like, I have to kind of understand, and he didn't know, like, DC is like some place that he don't really know about. Like, he from Alabama, he from down south, the south. Like, he ain't really from DC, and maybe he just didn't know any better in terms of like how hot the city is right now. And I'm glad that he was able to kind of escape with his life, thank God, right? And same thing with the lady. I don't know who the lady is, but when we talk about B-Rob, we can't forget about the other person that was shot. Like, it ain't just about, the running back. It's about their whole situation in itself. Like, juveniles are the ones who, pulled the trigger. Like, the whole situation crazy. So I just think at least for B-Rob, I hope this doesn't scare him in terms of, like, trauma is trauma, but I hope it doesn't scare him about the city, but just also helps him understand that, like Ubering and security and all these things for his protection moving forward, like, it's probably the best bet. But obviously, we got to figure something out from the youth side as well. So that's all I'll say on my side. Let me go ahead and check in with some of the comments. Alex, Big Dog, what's going on? Kim, appreciate you checking in. Good morning to you. And good morning, Alex. Good morning. Two Alexes. But no, good morning to you all. I used to work on 8th Street and 8th. Yeah, the intersection can be crazy. Look, I was out at Anacostia practicing flag football I was out, that was last week. So not this past Saturday, but last week. And we out there practicing and we hear gunshots overhead, on the overhead. Like it was I think it was a highway, or maybe the street leading into the highway, 295. And somebody let off like 6 shots. And we were out, it was 9:30 in the morning, mind you, or 10 in the morning, mind you. So we talking about a shootout at 9:30 a.m. out of Anacostia, right by Anacostia Park. So like it gets crazy, bro. And you know, it's hard to really have answers towards that. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is, and that's not like a good thing, but you know, it is. It is what it is, meaning. But Alex said, yeah, blessings to B-Rob and his fam. Thankful this wasn't anything else. Yeah, blessings to B-Rob, man, and the lady who got shot. What's going on, B Finesse? What's going on, big dog? Appreciate you checking in. It's been a little minute, man. You know what's crazy too, by the way? I have not been on Call of Duty in a minute, unrevised, and that's unfortunate. I haven't been on, I said unrevised, like I don't know your name. But but I know I used to play Call of Duty all the time, bro. I've been so goddamn busy, man, with this football shit. But when that Modern Warfare 2 come out, I know about. Hey, he said he hasn't touched it since Caldera dropped. I don't know about everybody in here in terms of like Call of Duty, but like Warzone used to be my shit, bro. But I'm coming back when Modern Warfare 2 come out. Like Caldera has been ass. I don't know if everybody plays it or anybody played it, but Caldera has been terrible for me. And it made it easier for me to just like stray away from it and focus on football this summer. But Caldera was terrible. But if y'all getting that new Modern Warfare, like my boy Brandon, bro, y'all need to tap in and lock in with your boy, cause I'm a dog. And I'm trying to get some more Warzone dubs. Okay, let's go ahead and tap into the Commanders. And like I said, we can move on from the Brian Robinson stuff, and good morning to everybody that's in here right now. 53 projections are hard. And not hard in the sense that, you know, it's as simple as, you know, creating a position group, line up and doing the numbers, right? Crunching numbers. But it's hard in the sense that, like, to talk about it, you have to really understand what those true battles were. 90%, I said it this past weekend, 90% of the roster is really already situated. Like, it's already settled. We're not talking about 30 people fighting for roster spots or 25 people. If you had 30 or 25 people fighting for roster spots, first off, your team is probably some ass. Like, you probably got some big problems if you got 30, and I'm slicing it. So even still, like, you talking about for Washington, you're probably talking about 5 or 6 people. So it's kind of hard to really pinpoint exactly what the true battles are. But you all tell me. So Brandon said wide receiver unit might be the hardest to cut on the 53. Let me pull up the roster just so we can have an ongoing conversation about the actual situation at hand. Okay, so we do have a 53 projection. I could just use as a guideline. This ain't ESPN Plus. Oh, it is ESPN Plus. Okay, fair enough. I would sign in. I don't remember my sign-in information. Let me see. I ain't about to do it on the show. That's gonna take too long. I'll just go with NBC Sports Washington since they're free. This will probably be an easier guideline, and we can just use as a measuring stick for our conversation here. Okay, so let's go through quarterback down the list, and we'll get the receiver. So let me go ahead and pull up the roster one more time. All right, boom, and boom. Okay, so now we got the roster up, and we can go by position and start with quarterback. I think the obvious one here when we talk about the quarterback position is they do have to keep 3. We know that much. So when we start with those guys, it's going to be hard to keep. Now, I know some people have said, even AJ and maybe Dre, but definitely AJ on the show on the Trap or Die podcast. he had mentioned, you know, you don't need to, you can move on from Taylor Heineke after, you know, the Carolina performance from Sam Howell. And you know, I was a little like, he piqued my interest, Sam Howell did, and it was really good that he had a full game Saturday. Now, for him, right? And my thing is, you all know how I felt about the starters playing. If you all been locked in, I'm a guy where I was, first off, bro, look around the league just on Saturday. My whole overall point with those starters playing is nobody has a precedence. Nobody has a true understanding of what to do in 3 preseason games when they had 4 for a long ass time. So making sure your starters get as much reps as possible heading into the regular season, that is something where I'm like, bruh, there is nothing stopping Ron from putting these guys in and making sure that they get some work, bruh. Especially if you think they need it. But the wilder thing is, before I transition back to quarterback, is that, you know, even in the preseason game against the Ravens, they were struggling in certain situations. Defense had the big plays. They were getting off the field on 3rd down, I believe. Side note, I really caught up to the game today and early yesterday because I've been busy. Sundays, the August 28th is usually a really rough day for me. You know, that's a anniversary day that, you know, is a little traumatic for me in the wrong ways. So I really didn't do much football yesterday. I was with my family a lot, so I'm really going off of the notes that I do have, but also some notes from people who actually watched the game. So give me some time with this one. But anyway, back to the game and Sam Howell and just the offense in general. The offense was struggling. Obviously in the red zone, I believe they went 0 for 3. And then when we talk about the actual, or maybe 1 for 3, because I know Bonifant scored, but maybe he scored from outside the red zone. Ultimately, my point is, key situations in which you struggled. It didn't transition just from the starters. It was in the backups, false starts, penalties, holdings, and then defensively getting beat on double moves. Obviously, is what hurt these guys on that side of the ball. But I believe 3rd downs wasn't much of an issue. Though they did have some big plays that were really glaring from the fact that it happens with the starters as well. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that. So for me, let's get to these quarterbacks. You can't escape Taylor Heineke. If you all are sick of him, and that's where I was getting at. AJ wants to move on from Taylor. I'm in the boat that you can't escape Taylor Heineke just yet. Sam Howell, while he had a very encouraging, I think that's the safest word that we can say. If he had an encouraging preseason, right? I like the fact that he showed something, and that's kind of where I was getting at all along this offseason. Like, if you're a projected 1st round quarterback, regardless of what happened to you in your last season at University of North Carolina, you're going to show something. And it doesn't have to be like elite talent. Like, you don't have to show that in your first experience or first exposure to the NFL. But ultimately, what you do show is somebody who is capable of playing in this league and something where you have talents or traits that you can work with. And Sam Howell showed just that. One of the things that he's going to have to clean up, though, while he's working this 3 quarterback room, he's going to have to learn from these guys, Heineke and Wentz, in whichever way you can, but also understand that some of the best plays you can do is actually throwing the football away. He's tried to keep plays on as long as possible. He's a fighter. He's a battler. And you'll see that a lot of times with Sam Howell clearly. But when you miss a lot of things or kill a lot of drives, if you take the sacks in which way he did Saturday and even across the board, I believe he had 9 sacks or 10 sacks that he accumulated as the quarterback. So yeah, man, appreciate you, Alex. Yeah, man, it's rough, bro. Yesterday was rough. I ain't gonna spend too long on it, but you know, sometimes like those anniversaries that I speak on, like yesterday, for those who know, like my sister passed like 14 years ago now, on that day. But like some days, some years it's like it's not too bad. Then some days and some years that don't hit you like a fucking like a ton of bricks. So that's what yesterday was for me. But yeah, let's go ahead and get back to it, man. I'm definitely in good spirits, bro. It's hard to bounce back sometimes, but it is what it is. Gotta keep it pushing, bro. Just peep the stat on Rookie Roch. Granted, he played a decent amount of stats, but Sam led the league in the entire preseason with 547 yards. Yeah, he got a lot of time. Remember what? Whole second half against the Panthers. Whole second half against the Chiefs, right? And then the whole game against the Ravens. So yeah, man, that shit is crazy. So I'm listening to all you all. But yeah, grief is weird. Grief is weird. Yeah, appreciate you, Kim. Appreciate that. And sorry about, the loss in your family as well. Thank you for that. And while I am doing some thanks, before I forget one more time, shout out to the guy, Hawk TV, for the donation on YouTube, man. I appreciate that one. I didn't get it on Friday because I don't have the alert set up where they automatically pop up on my phone, but I did get it via email. So I appreciate the donation, Hawk. I know you'll probably ultimately catch up with this one. So yeah, thank you for that one. All right, so yeah, Sam Howell, man, 3 quarterbacks. Understand that he has the talent. Understand that the traits are there. It's encouraging for the future. And I think that this is a guy, ultimately, if he takes the leaps in scout team, because that's what he's going to be playing for Washington. Let me go ahead, change off this, go back to this. Ultimately, if he ends up leading the scout team and shows some even better traits where he's carving up the Commander's starting defense, which is a problem, but if he's doing it, you may be encouraged moving forward that this is a guy, Sam Howell, that may have an opportunity to compete next year. Now, him competing next year would also mean that Carson Wentz is in trouble. And if Carson Wentz is in trouble, we may not be able to fully project Ron Rivera's status in Washington. But hey, we will cross that bridge when we get there. So all 3 quarterbacks I agree with: Carson Wentz, Taylor Heinicke, Sam Howell. Now we have the running back position, and then we'll get into the wide receivers. Brandon, because I have not forgot what you said. The flashes were there. You can see the fight and competition in him. His growth and pocket awareness will do wonders. And that's the thing. Like, I just think that he can make any play. If that makes sense, Alex. Like, I think that he has pocket awareness, but his eye usage in the pocket. Okay, yeah, I think that he has the pocket awareness, but he just holds on for the last second. Like, he knows that somebody's barreling down on him, but he doesn't care. People have to realize playing against 2s and 3s. Yeah, that's another thing too with Sam. Like, so last game I believe was the 3s and maybe reserves that he was playing against. But he had a lot of guys on his side of the ball that were, 3s and 4s. Like, Dyami Brown is a 3rd string guy for Washington. We're going to get into this receiver spot, but Dyami Brown is a 3rd string guy, and he was and Dax Milne as well. He was a 3rd, and for that matter, Armani Rogers, the talent around him was all 3rd stringers. Like, his best offensive lineman was probably Chris Paul, the right guard. So he was playing with a lot of backups as well, and he performed as best he could, and he should have had better stats. To Alex's point, where he led the league in the preseason with 547 yards. Imagine if Dyami Brown catches the big play. I think he ultimately had 2 or 3 drops total. The Sam Howell did in terms of his receivers. Dyami was obviously responsible for 2. But yeah, 2s and 3s. He got some Carson syndrome. He does the same thing. But more so just becoming more aware and not to take some sacks. Yeah, that's a fact. He is a tough tackle in the pocket. It's like this innate thing that he does, bro, where he feels that pressure, he dips down and makes himself a smaller target. And that's ultimately how he can escape the grasp of the defenders and stuff like that. So that is interesting. Okay, so let's get to running back. Where are we at? Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, JD McKissic. Now, obviously, with the situation with Brian Robinson, we're talking football here, so with the context in which, we started out the show talking about B-Rob and his actual health situation. Let's talk about the football side now, and try to figure out how you're going to play this running back position now. And also, like, are you going to keep for running backs and maybe put Brian Robinson on the PUP list? That part is something where you're not entirely too sure how to play this just yet, because the news just broke last night. So I think you're going to have to go with a fourth running back. And if you ask me, I think that fourth running back is going to be Jonathan Williams. Now, from my personal standpoint, I know that Jonathan Williams didn't play Saturday, and Jared Patterson did. But I think that sometimes too, when we talk about players who are inactive on the fourth preseason game, that doesn't always mean that they have a roster spot. And it may have been the case in heading into the game that, it was going to be just three running backs: Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissic. But at this point now, because of B-Rob's injury, I think the next man up would have been Jonathan Williams. And now they have a way in which they can, elevate Jonathan Williams and sideline Brian Robinson. But what does this mean for the offense? I think what it means for the offense in itself is, and I hate to say it like this, I'm gonna just be honest, but I'm gonna say it anyway, and then we can react after. Antonio Gibson has a third chance at life at running back. I think he's ultimately going to become the lead back for Washington again. I think that with Brian Robinson going down, it would have been Antonio Gibson, and then it would have been Jonathan Williams backing up Antonio Gibson. But now with Brian Robinson on presumably missing some time, I think it's the safest way. Now, they did say, his injuries were non-life threatening, but that doesn't give an indication to sports related updates. Non-life threatening is somebody who's has a good chance of surviving the incident, but it doesn't tell you the complications of being a running back, a professional running back. You will never get that information off the rip. So we're just all fingers crossed he doesn't miss any time, because some you can get treated and just be about your day. But presumably missing time, Antonio is going to be back elevated in that starting role. And can you all he said, stop shitting on Gibson. We lucky to have him right now because we'd be short. Apparently it was a leg too. PUP is a very real responsibility. We have a bad record losing talent. QBs can't let them go and not lose. How? What's going on? 757. Yes sir. Prayers for 8. Hey, look, I saw a tweet earlier today. It was a couple days ago though. That it was actually put out there, but somebody was like, and this is 100% facts. You don't have to, root against Antonio Gibson and cheer on Brian Robinson and vice versa. Like, we don't have to do the RG3 versus Kirk Cousins thing when it comes to running backs. We can root for the same both players and hope that both of these guys are successful at their position. So understand that much. Just sent you a vid, but I had his feelings going to do his best to come play. Let me check it out. Oh, video of B-Rob. Oh yeah, I saw that. I actually saw that before I got on the show. Yeah, so fingers crossed. It may not be week 1 like you said, but I think he'll be back. But yeah, you don't have to pick sides with these guys. This ain't the quarterback position. Both guys can flourish. And ultimately, now I am a person where I'm a little frustrated with Gibson. Not in the fact that I think that he's a terrible player, but I just think that the development curve or the growth curve hit B-Rob a little bit quicker, or clearly hit him much quicker than it did Antonio Gibson. So putting him back in that role, you just hope that his confidence hasn't wavered, because the coaches are going to need him. And I also hope that for what it means for Washington is that, what it means for Washington is that I hope that the coaches continue to use him, meaning Antonio Gibson, in the way in which they planned when Brian Robinson was out. So essentially, you're talking about a guy who's still able to make to run routes out of the backfield. You can split them out wide. You can split them into the slot, motion them into the slot. Like all of these other ways in which you can use Antonio Gibson. I hope that they don't cut it short because of Brian Robinson being hurt, and I hope that they don't take him off kick return. That's what you're bringing up Jonathan Williams for, or Jaret Patterson. But I think it's Jonathan Williams in the event of Brian Robinson not being ready for week 1. That's what I think is going to happen. So I just hope that from a schematic standpoint and what it means for Washington is that they don't change up the plans for Antonio Gibson just because Brian Robinson may miss time. Not saying that he will, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So for me, I'm in a position where I think Scott Turner needs to continue to do what he was doing in preparation for the regular season and figuring out ways how he can utilize Antonio. Don't revert back to, oh, he's a primary ball carrier, we can't have him exposed in these many opportunities. No, you have Jonathan Williams and J.D. McKissic. You have help. And if you want to use 3 running backs to start the season, you damn sure better keep doing it the way in which you all playing, and maybe implement Jonathan Williams more as a primary ball carrier if you don't really trust Antonio to tote the rock, or if you're going to transition him to a full-time back again. That I think that's going to be the mistake for him. Let's go ahead and check up on these comments right quick. You can wish success for both of them. Their success equates to team success. Absolute facts. Brandon said Gibby's good. I just don't think he's a lead back like we've been using him. Yes, sir. He will be back next season. I'm praying dude is able to just have a normal life. Them bullets can do a lot of nerve damage. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, now I'm not counting him out this season, but to your point, to your overall point, bullets can do a lot, can do a lot to the nerves and stuff like that. Fortunately, I haven't, I've been lucky in my life to avoid that. But to your point, like the recovery part, we don't know anything yet. Like, we just know that he survived, and we know that he's not in danger of losing his life as a result. I did see Alex's. I saw your vid, and that was I saw that as well, and it was encouraging. But ultimately, we'll see down the line. We don't have time worrying about who's the starting back. The next man up, plain and simple. That's the hard truth. And for Scott Turner and them, that's kind of what they're doing in that aspect. So we don't have time to worry about it, but we gotta figure out what's the game plan now, David. So what you think about David, in particular, what do you think about actually moving around that position group? Assuming Brian Robinson isn't around, like, what are you doing on your side if you were making the moves and decisions for them? All right, let me go ahead and keep throwing while I wait on David. Facts, he still has the numbers to show he can produce. Shorty got to hold that rock. Do you think they keep Patterson on practice squad? I do. I think that's going to be their attempt. Ultimately, though, I'm not going to lie to you, Kim. I did think that prior to Brian Robinson's situation, I thought Jonathan Williams would have been kept on practice squad over Jaret Patterson. I did think that. And now I think that Jonathan Williams would get elevated, and now Jaret Patterson finds himself space on the practice squad as a result. But I think that's ultimately what happens there. And depending on Robinson's situation in terms of IR, long-term IR, or season-ending IR, or short-term IR, or maybe even PUP, then Patterson may not be around for long. Or maybe he will, depending on it all depends on the situation. But ultimately, to answer your question in the short version, I think that he does make practice squad now. But also, what helped him was the game that he had. He had a really good game. I think just short of 100 yards, total all-purpose yards, and I think that or yards from scrimmage, I guess, whatever the word is. But I think that was encouraging for Patterson, but also showed he can show up in a critical situation for his career. It shows his competitiveness and also just his mental preparedness. Like, being mentally prepared for a situation like that is good to see from him. Like, he's ready for whatever opportunity is thrown his way. So I think regardless of if Washington decides to keep him or not, he'll find himself on the team. There's gonna be plenty of people that like what Patterson is doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to the receivers now. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is where the biggest problem, one of the biggest problem lies. And we're starting with it right now. Now let me go ahead back on to Brandon's comments about, let me see if I can find that receiver. Here we go. He said receiver units may be the hardest to cut on a 53. I ain't gonna lie to you, I actually thought that the receiver unit for Washington this year was in its most simplistic form. Like I really did. Like I really think it was always gonna be Terry as 1, Curtis is 2, Jahan is 3. I think that Cam was on the brink based on how they used them last year. I did think Cam was on the brink based on how they used them, because you never really knew if they liked Cam or not. Remember, Cam for a good portion of the season he played less than 15% of the offensive snaps. I think ultimately at the season's end, he was around like 30 something, but for a long time he didn't play a lot of offensive snaps for Washington. And this was with Curtis Samuel being hurt. So you're trying to figure out why the hell are they not putting him on the field? Because all he does when he steps on the field is what? The guy makes plays. He's a dog. That's all he does. So you kind of try to figure out how Washington is going to utilize him. But in my opinion, that was probably the more questionable one heading into training camp. And then De'Ami Brown I thought was a lock. Dax Milne, I didn't know. I think that was the one position that was up for grabs. It was Dax Milne in that 6 wide receiver spot, and that's where everybody else came in. But ultimately, when we talk about this 6 core, I think the only person, and to be honest with you, only person that was really fighting for a job was Dax. Let's go ahead and catch up on some of the comments. So Dave said, we really need to concentrate on how the QB is going to perform. That's my concern, because a very good QB can make everything better. Yes, sir. Carson is, so we're going to talk about Carson. I don't know if you all noticed, at least on this side, I barely talked about Sam Howell, like to like in depth type thing. Like Taylor Heineke, I talked about that one drive against Carolina, but didn't really harp on his play. Same thing with Sam Howell. Like I talked about some moments with him as a rookie, and then Carson Wentz. I've had some positives to say about him, but not in detail, and that's because preseason, bro, is weird. You can evaluate other positions, and you can really evaluate the quarterback spot, but you're not getting a full game sample of what you're getting with these quarterbacks. So to David's point, yes, the quarterback is obviously a concern, but it's hard to really say much about their preseason performances. There wasn't really a truly terrible performance by any of the quarterbacks that tells you you need to be concerned, and that's a good thing. That's really a good thing. But on the other end of it, you really don't know what the hell you're getting. You don't know what the hell you get with none of these guys, specifically Carson Wentz, just yet, especially in this offense. You hope that he's turned the corner for the obvious reasons, and can be a consistent, for our sake, top 10 quarterback. And realistically, a top 15, consistently top 15, top 16. You hope that's the case for Carson Wentz, and that can do a lot for a team like us, especially Washington, who has the pieces offensively to really threaten defenses in the NFL. Okay, very sad news. Rich, appreciate you checking in. Good morning to all the new faces. Good morning to all the new people in here. Reminder, if you are new to the Trapper Dive channel, Washington Commanders Morning Show, make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch. Make sure you hit that like button as well on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It does help the show's growth. We are not too far away from 1,000 subscribers, man. And I don't know how hard it is for us to get it before the season starts, but we're officially under 14 days. But let's try and get there. You know, fingers crossed we may get there. But yeah, Rich, man, very sad news. We were talking about it as the show started, about Brian Robinson, man. And, you know, it's unfortunate. And we're just lucky and for his sake and the lady, because people are forgetting, you know, it was a lady who apparently got grazed in the head, that everybody was able to escape with their life in a situation like that. So all 89 do is produce. I think it's more along the lines of usage. Scott utilizes Terry in the slot. Jamie Davis from Mike to OLB. utilizing gifts in his space, coaching staff just learning the best places to maximize their talent. And while I think that's a fact, Alex, the one thing I would say is they need to not take so goddamn long to do it. They need to not take so goddamn long to do it. The reason, like, it took a while for them to move Jamin outside. Terry was used in the slot, but I don't think he was used as often as he could have. But in terms of adjusting and adapting, in terms of adjusting and adapting overall, I don't think the turnaround the corner, it shouldn't be as long as it has been in years past, meaning obviously 21 and 22. It shouldn't take that long. Like Troy Apke started and they gave Troy Apke like 3 or 4 games and he just couldn't get it. Troy Apke, that shit is hilarious. So yeah, that's one way to look at it. Okay, Scott play calling the formation was a lot different for Sam this preseason. They ran quarterback power, RPOs. Like, that boy was used like a goddamn running back. They needed to speed that shit up. That's a fact. So I really don't have a lot of confidence in Scott Turner's play calling. And to me, if he doesn't utilize the talent better, then he has to get rid of him. It's a big year for him. I mean, sure, that extension, just happened, that 3-year extension. But at the end of the day, ask yourself if he's really, like, has he instilled confidence in the fan base is one thing, but what has he done from a coach's standpoint that tells them that he's done a good job with the talent that he's had? Listen, at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm not going to sit here and make any excuses for Scott, but I will allow the context in that he hasn't really had the talent, especially at the quarterback position, to really get a good job done. But on the flip side, like, even with that being the case, right, you're still one of the bottom teams in the league and even producing from a yardage standpoint in your first 2 years here. So while we're giving credence and allowing the fact that, he hasn't really had a great quarterback situation in Washington, when you're consistently bottom half of the league, you would still like to see an offense who can approach the red zone, who can convert in situational football. You can still do that. Like Taylor Heineke showed you last year that you can compete with them. I think that's the safest word. He showed you that you can compete with them. So how do you put them in the best situation to win? How do you put that offense in the best situation to win? How do you adjust to a quarterback who doesn't really have the arm strength that you need, but there's other plays, I'm sure, in your playbook that'll help you maximize his effectiveness? Like, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to say because I'm not a coordinator, but ultimately, to what we're saying and getting confidence in Scott Turner, you just have to see how he adjusts. And when you see good coordinators being able to compete with, the cards that they're dealt with, like, it when you see it. And that's kind of where we're at with Scott Turner. Is like, we really don't know just yet. Yeah, and that's where I'm getting at. Like, they say that he was handicapped, and to an extent, I agree. I just think that, like, adjustments are part of the game, and you have to understand that what you're dealing with. That's kind of where I'm at with the situation with Scott Turner. You kind of have to understand that, and how do you adjust? Hey man, hey, it's just part of what they're trying to do. Okay, so where are we at with the receivers? Dyami Brown, because I know we got sidetracked talking about Scott Turner, but let's talk about Dyami Brown right quick and move forward to tight ends. So I think they're going to keep the 6: Terry, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Cam Sims, Dyami Brown, Dax Milne. I think that's all gonna happen. And I also think that even with the game that Dyami Brown had, I think that he was gonna make the roster regardless. I really do. And I think with Dyami Brown, his situation, what he was put in, I think that he was the starter for Washington. He was the starting receiver for Washington. He was their number one. He was their if I had to guess, I would have to look back at the film one more time, but he was their receiver, and he is going to be Sam Howell's go-to. And I think ultimately in the third preseason game, under the lights, on the road, pressure on him, I just don't think he was mentally ready. And the wildest thing is he had catches in the game. It wasn't like he had a terrible game. I think what Dyami is going through is more so a mental hurdle, whatever the situation is, because he's doing a lot of the things right on the field leading up to the catch. He's doing a few things right, and obviously while his route running could be better, like he's still curving his routes. Ron Rivera talked about that, but he did it as well in Baltimore. He's still curving his routes and not really helping out the quarterback in ways in which he could do it. But in terms of like creating separation, he's still getting it done. He just has to be more mentally locked in at the catch point. And I don't think that he was like truly scared of DBs, because that's another thing where I saw last year when I did and you all can take a look at the film session on the YouTube channel. When you talk about Dyami Brown, I never came across as a guy with Dyami who was scared of contact or who was ever scared of taking a hit. Maybe they said he could take on contact better, and that's one way I would like to learn a little bit more from Dyami, from the coaches. But I never looked at Dyami last year and said this is a guy who's scared of taking on hits. So I'm not saying that it's not true, but I'm saying what we're seeing is new. And I don't know what it is just yet. And that's why I go straight to overcoming the mental aspects of, making plays over the middle or making plays for your team in general when you're that number one guy. Like situational in environment, like the environment in which he's playing in is important. It's an evaluating tool. Like, was he ready for the moment? The answer is no. He wasn't ready for the moment. And the coaches see that. And maybe if he gets relegated back to that fifth row, and deal with whatever mental hurdles that he has in terms of why is he not focused at the catch point? Why is he not securing the pass? Why is he not understanding that, he can make plays on the ball in a much better form? That's the questions that you have to kind of ask. And I don't know if he's there yet, but ultimately I didn't see them cutting Dyami Brown. And I think that moving forward, Dyami Brown is probably just gonna have to, go one-on-one with himself. Like, how can he overcome it? Because they're gonna count on him. They're gonna eventually put him on the field. If somebody gets hurt, or if they have a week in which they have to use 6 receivers, I don't think he's gonna be active. But he's gonna have to show himself in ways in which they can really trust him, and that's gonna come down to Dyami, and it's gonna come down to him proving the coaches right in their decision to keep him. Scott, oh yeah, we talked about that one. For bless his heart, just couldn't make the throws that are staples in the offense. I always look to that Cowboys game on Thanksgiving where Scott reached deep into his bag. Oh yeah, that was the Cowboys was ass. But yeah, he was doing everything. Antonio Gibson went off. I think Logan Thomas had himself a day. Yeah, that one was a good one. Dyami's made some plays, but good gracious, that dog does not reside in him anymore. That one pass over the middle, he's made that play many times, but you can see him look for contact and not looking the ball all the way in. Yeah, and that's my thing. Like, is he? And another thing, like, is he playing hurt? Like, is he trying to compensate for something? I don't know. And we're not making excuses. Excuse me. I'm not making excuses, but I am providing context. Like, I didn't see this in Dyami Brown last year, and like I did the work to back it up. Like I didn't see a person who had these lapses, and I think that his drops are really all about concentration. Like you mentioned, the one pass over the middle, he saw the contact, but he tried to brace for it in a way, maybe, and took his eyes off the target, took his eyes off the ball. The second one down the sideline, he didn't look like he was prepared at one point. Ultimately, he started tracking the ball and tracking the defender at the same time to see where he was going and where the ball was leading him to. And there is no need for you to jump for that one. Just reel it in with both hands. Get your feet in bounds and hope you get in the end zone. But in at the very least, secure the ball with both hands and get in bounds. You don't know if you're going to score, but you do know that you're going to have a big play on third down to keep your drive alive for your team. And that's ultimately like my thing is it's just all about mental, figuring out what's going on with this guy. But you can see him look for contact in a way. It's definitely mental. He hasn't attacked the ball in the air the same either. And that 50-50 shit was his bread and butter. Look at the Dallas game. We're already down goddamn 30-something points. But Taylor Heineke, gives him a shot downfield over Trayvon Diggs, and he ends up mossing 2 defenders down the field. He's also took some hits on the shorter level Dyami Brown has that showcase his ability to take on contact. Like, it is what it is. So it's weird, bro. It's so weird. I will say this though, he's not the fastest receiver we have at all, but he has that speed that gets behind guys consistently at that. Yes, he said he likes 19. He's a very nice receiver. Let's see who number 19 was. I think that's Mitchell. Markin Mitchell. Let me go to the receivers on our side. 19 is Markin Mitchell. Markin Michelle. I don't have too much of an opinion on him. But I think what I do like, because I don't stir. All right, Brandon, be safe, big dog. I think for Markin, yesterday or Saturday was all about, putting some tape out there for him. I do really like Dax though. And I can't wait. No, sir. What's going on, Merrill? What's going on, big dog? Good morning to everybody. I can't wait to see Dax Milne like in regular season, because I think that while he's going to be the special teams guy, punt return, maybe even kick return, now that Antonio Gibson is probably going to be thrust back into like that primary role. Hopefully Antonio actually plays on kickoff. But ultimately, I think Dax Milne is a guy who's shown a lot of, what's crazy? He actually shown a lot of traits that you'd hope to see from your 3rd round pick in Dyami. Like, in terms of at the catch point, like he's shown some strong hands, reliable hands. He's gotten open on plays in which he wasn't getting the ball. If I'm going out of town this weekend, Thursday, and only reason why I'm bringing that up, I know it was kind of random, but I'm bringing it up because I wanted to do a film breakdown on a couple of players, but I may have to limit who I can do it on because I'm going out of town. So I got to figure out my priorities and who I have time for. But Dax Milne he's looked really good in preseason from a route running standpoint, but also with his hands and how he uses his body to secure passes and stuff like that. So I really like Dax Milne, and in the regular season, you're probably going to see a guy who, while he's again that special teams guy for Washington, he's going to get on the field in a lot of situations, especially from that slot receiver position. So I am a fan of Dax. I like Dax last year. He's gotten better. Man. I agree. Now I'm actually the opposite though in terms of last year. I didn't really have I wasn't that big of a fan of Dax. But when I watched him on tape this preseason, I'm like, all right, bro, I respect you. I respect what you got going on, big dog. I'm gonna see what he got during the regular season. Okay. Tight ends. Logan Thomas, John Bates, Cole Turner, Armani Rogers. Logan Thomas, I believe, is gonna be ready for week 1. John Bates, I don't know, but I think Cole Turner will be back, and obviously Armani Rogers is gonna be around. So Logan Thomas, Cole Turner, Armani Rogers for now. John Bates, possibly, we will see. But I like what I see from the situation. And I also like the fact that, Logan Thomas and Armani Rogers are going to be able to complement each other in the passing game. John Bates is a guy who can, we'll see. But John Bates is obviously the blocking guy. But Logan Thomas, Armani Rogers immediately going to be able to complement each other. Assuming Cole Turner is going to be able to bounce back by week 1. I would love what a 13 personnel looks like with these 3 on the field. Because you can put Terry McLaurin out there. You can put Armani Rogers and maybe Logan Thomas on inline, and you can put Cole Turner out as a split out as like a boundary X type of guy. And you can have like so many different looks out of that. I don't know. Like the tight ends that they have makes this offense versatile in a way that you can line up certain packages in which linebackers alone aren't going to be able to check these guys. And DBs alone aren't going to be able to check these guys. Now Armani needs some work in the receiving game, and that's why I was like inline maybe will serve him best like in certain situations. But Cole Turner, Logan Thomas, you can line these guys off the line, split them out, tight splits, or maybe even to the boundary as wide receivers type of guys, or maybe even the slot. Like, I love the idea of these four. I don't have anything further to say about these tight ends, but because it's set in stone. Like, you know what you're getting from all four of these guys. You got 3 receiving threats, and then you have 2 guys who can go and get dirty in the run game, and that's John Bates and Logan Thomas. Offensive line, and by the way, while we'll take a quick break right here, I'll go ahead and send the link to anybody and everybody that wants to join, because I know my time is wrapping up for a second. I got to make some moves on my side, but that is the link to anybody and everybody that wants to join. Yeah, Cole Turner is the X factor. I agree. I think Cole Turner is the X factor. I do like Armani Rogers. I've been saying that in the preseason all along, but he's also a guy where I thought that, opportunity is what helped him out. Opportunity specifically meaning you're talking about Logan Thomas, John Bates, and Cole Turner having to go down for injury. Then you had AGG retire, and then Sammis Reyes getting hurt. This is 5 individuals at the tight end spot that ultimately helped Armani Rogers, indirectly helped Armani Rogers find himself on the roster. Hey, Alex with it, bruh. Cole is the red zone king. I was about to say Alex said, I think he said 8 touchdowns for Cole. That's what he's projecting for the season. 8 touchdowns for Cole Turner. But yeah, man, like I said, I think this is an obvious spot that needs no further explanation or expounding on. Offensive line: Charles Leno, Sam Cosmi, Chase Roullier, Andrew Norwell, Trey Turner, Cornelius Lucas, Wes Schweitzer, Chris Paul, Sadiq Charles. Does that sound right with you all? Three tackles. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 guards. You really have 1 center in a sense. Wes Schweitzer plays center and Wes Martin plays center, but are you going to keep Wes Martin in? Like, I don't know what the situation is with Trey Turner. We know that he came back briefly, but ultimately, when you talk about these offensive linemen, it comes down to numbers and who's more versatile. So I guess Chase Roullier, Wes Schweitzer are your centers, but if they go down, who's gonna be snapping for your quarterback? And I think that's where Wes Martin comes in. Do you want to keep a third? Because I'm about to say Wes Martin is back. Scott's happy as hell, hasn't seen shit on. He's going to feast 25-30 next year. What's going on, big dog? Good morning to you all on the Twitch side, man. Appreciate the follow as well. I just saw that on the activity feed. Appreciate you checking in. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the Commanders Morning Show. For you, just letting you all know, Trapper Dive Washington Commanders Morning Show is streamed Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 7 a.m. We are live this week, Monday and Wednesday. I'm on vacation after that. And then the Trapper Dive, obviously, podcast is streamed 7 p.m. on Tuesdays with AJ, Dre, and myself. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to Hawk. I was just talking about you earlier, man. I appreciate that donation, bruh. I didn't get to see the alert in real time. I got it on my email, so I saw it after the show was over. Appreciate the donation. You know what I'm saying? A little bit late. We're just going through the position groups. Right quick. Sadiq Charles is the most talented of the group, but he's not maturing fast enough for me. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm trying to lean to. Like, how? Of course, center is a problem if Chase Roullier gets hurt or is inactive, but you have Wes Schweitzer. But ultimately, when you have Wes Schweitzer, I mean, you do have guard. It's kind of thin, is where I'm getting at. It's kind of thin. And with all the versatility, like you have weaknesses if certain positions go down, like center and tackle. That's probably the main thing. Center and tackle. Chris Paul I think he's done a good job at guard. I've been watching him exclusively in his experience or his time as a rookie. And I like what I see from Chris Paul at guard. Sadiq Charles I haven't seen too much of, and quite frankly I think he's been hurt, right? I know he's played, but I know he's been limited because he's been hurt. Trey Turner hasn't played at all. Andrew Norwell barely's played. Ultimately, Carson Wentz has been out there for 2 games and hasn't even played one game with the starting projected offensive line. Don't forget about Keith Ismail. Yeah, Keith. That's actually a really good point. Keith Ismail was that third center, and that's a really good point, because like, what do you do with Keith? Like, is he gone and back on practice squad? Because I think practice squad will fit him well, but is he gone on practice squad? Because again, ultimately, Wes Schweitzer, Chase Roullier, those are your 2 centers. And if Chase is healthy, Wes Schweitzer is going to be probably your starting right guard. He's the quality center in position, yes sir. Chris Paul, I like this physicality. Chris Paul, I like how he fit in the run game too. He was moving bodies out there in the run game. Okay, so yeah, that's that with offensive line. We'll see how that kind of goes about. My main thing right there is center and tackle. Like, you have a lot of help at guard. You do have the swing tackle on Charles Leno, but outside of that, you're pretty thin. Swing tackle on Cornelius Lucas. I always get those 2 because they both got CL as their abbreviations. But yeah, Cornelius Lucas is your swing tackle. So like, you're pretty thin there. You got other people who can play tackle, but ultimately pretty thin in terms of experience. So let's get to the defensive lineman. Catch up. I actually believe he started versus Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. They love the job he did there. I really like your insight and your opinion on this. Keep up the good work. Appreciate you, big dog. Appreciate you checking in, Dave. And okay, so we have, and Dave, always, man, if anytime, like, it's we don't make it no big deal, but you know, always open up the floor to the viewers too. So anytime you ever feeling you want to get something off your chest, you can hop up in here in the stream and talk about whatever is related with the Commanders. Okay, so I think Ismail is getting traded. The Dolphins been showing interest in Keith Ismail, or they've been showing interest in the center? I was like, ain't no way. Let me look this up. Hold on. Keith Ismail, Dolphins. Oh, you must be talking about center, the position altogether. But I don't think they're gonna be targeting no Keith Ismail. I ain't gonna lie to you. If they target a center, they're gonna be looking at a guy who can actually start for him. Because I mean, of course, Washington will gladly trade away Keith Ismail, but at the end of the day, he probably gonna get cut. If all else fails, he's gonna get cut because they're gonna try and get him on the practice squad. All right, so let's get to the defensive linemen. Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Fidarian Mathis, all locks. I think James Smith-Williams is obviously a lock. Daniel Wise is a lock. The rise of Wise, bruh. I love how Daniel Wise has played in the preseason, bruh. And he's a guy who was not even on my radar heading into it, because I thought that I knew that these guys needed help, and I didn't know where the help was going to come from. I put the pressure on Deron Payne often in terms of his ability to improve as a pass rusher. I think that's going to be a mark on him this entire season, about can he develop as a player? Can he show that he's actually, like, from a market standpoint, not just Washington, because you know he's gonna test the market, but can he show that his value, there's something of value there in the pass game as well, like on a consistent basis? And right now he's not showing that. The season is to be determined. So I'm not writing a book on it, but I do need to see something from Deron Payne in that aspect. But ultimately, when it comes to interior defensive line help, Daniel Wise, a dog. I love it. And I think that he's going to have a role on this defense where we didn't once anticipate. But as an interior defensive lineman, playing from the 1 tech position and 3 tech, that guy has some explosion. And he's very quick off the line. So I like what I see in Daniel Wise, man. So let's recap. Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Fidarian Mathis, Daniel Wise, James Smith-Williams, all locks. all locks. That's six defensive linemen. The other three that are mentioned here is Efe Obada, Shaka Toney, Casey Toohill. I mean, in theory, Casey Toohill is a lock as well. And in theory, Efe and Shaka are too. But I think what's being left off the list is with Efe and Shaka being on there is William Bradley King. So what are we going to do with the edge rushers? Now, Efe has been quiet in the preseason. James Smith-Williams has been quiet. Shaka Toney has been the one making noise, but he hasn't been able to finish on his opportunities. And the issue with Shaka, is that he's not able to finish. I think that he gets off the line very well, but in terms of turning the corner and making a play, that's where he struggles. That's where he has to learn how to finish. And that's what coaches see. Like, the issue is one thing, but the positives is that he's getting there. Like, he is making half of the play, but how do you get him to finish on the second half of the play? And when you see potential in a person like that who has that get off ability, can you mold it? Are you confident enough in yourself to mold him into the pass rusher that you want him to be? And are you confident enough in Shaka Toney that you can say he's a guy, regardless of what William Bradley King can do, I can bring him to the table and I can say, hey, it's third down, make a play. So personally, what do you all think? Do you think it should be Shaka Toney over William Bradley King? Or are you saying you're taking the sure thing and somebody who you're a little bit more trustworthy in? And maybe you're more trustworthy in Shaka, right? But the narrative is that William Bradley King is Mr. Reliable, for lack of a better term, and Shaka Toney is the wild card. So that's kind of where I'm at with these guys. I say go with Shaka. While I do have my concerns in his ability to finish, I think that the traits are there. And that's the kind of the same conversation that I'm having with Dyami Brown. Like, I think the traits are there. And I don't think Shaka Toney is actually a bad player at all. I just think that he has to learn how to finish, and that can make him 10 times better than the potential that he possesses. Okay, let's go ahead and catch up. Shawty shows up. Daniel Wise, yes. James Smith hustle. James Smith-Williams, those guys hustle. Yeah. Daniel Wise. A lot of people don't understand too. For Darian Mathis, I don't know if you ever if you all look back at, like, look at the condensed version of a game when Darian Mathis is in. You will see that man running to the football after every play, bruh. Every play. Like, he is never out of a play because of his hustle. And that'll prove big on turnovers, like potential fumbles. That'll prove big on quarterback knockdowns. You never know what it'll turn into because he hustles so much, because a play is never dead to him until that whistle is blown. So Daniel Wise, James Smith-Williams, I like him. Shawty just shows up. He did last year too, kept flashing. I believe he's the reason they moved on from 10 Settle. And hey, that's an excellent point. Because if they saw this in Daniel Wise and moved on from 10 Settle, then hey, you got something going. Like, I was a person, like, I'm late to the party. Daniel Wise, I caught on to this preseason. So yeah, that's actually an excellent point, and why they could have moved on from 10 Settle. Shaka Toney will be a very good DN. I'm a big fan of him. The battle comes down to Shaka and William Bradley. I'm taking Shaka though, off of what you previously said. He generates pressure in situational role, but you have 4 or 5 guys rushing with you that can help finish the play. Now, Shaka's part of that boat that they need to learn how to contain consistently. He had a good and bad moment, like that touchdown with Anthony Brown. Like I said, I was catching up on the game this morning and a little bit yesterday, but the touchdown Anthony Brown scored when he scrambled was the same exact situation that Casey Toohill gave up against the Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs. What's the name got washed? Shaka Toney took himself out to play and was able to escape in that aspect. So we're keeping 4 or 5 DTs. I'm gonna sit here and say Deron, John, Phil, yeah, and Daniel. I'm saying 4. Those are your 4. And Daniel Wise has earned himself into a rotation. I think he's going to see plenty of time this upcoming season. FA, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you got 5 DNs. Now, when it comes to defensive line and linebackers, we're about to get into linebackers right now. But when we get into defensive line and linebackers, bro, we got to see who's on the waiver wire ultimately. We could have kept settling let Ioannidis be the only one go. Shaka has that good bend that great DNs have. He got the burst. The bend, I think the bend is there, but I think he's not square enough when he meets the quarterback. Like, meaning, like, while he's able to turn a corner, like the timing and ability to do so in relation to the quarterback kind of gets him in trouble. And I know that's probably a confusing statement. I will have to show you more than anything, and maybe I actually have a clip. Khalid Hudson. I probably didn't save it. Yeah, I don't have it. Bad rush lane, missed tackle. Cole Holcomb, man coverage. Daniel Wise. Yeah, I don't have it. I do have Khalid Cousin with 4th and 5th. I don't think that's worth putting him out there. I'm not going to do that to him. Even though he saw it on film already, so it is what it is, right? Okay, let's get back to it. Always got the film on deck just in case I need to put it in here. Best coachable moment was the play against Carolina. 4th down, was in good position to make the play, but snatched Corral's face mask off. Yes, that could have been a sack. Goddamn. All right, so yeah, I think it's going to be 5 edge rushers, 4 defensive tackles or interior defensive linemen, and everything else in that aspect is going to be interchangeable. For me, I think that linebacker, I think if you go linebacker in terms of veteran, you're probably replacing Khalid Hudson. I think Milo Eifert has made a case, but I think if you're going to go linebacker, you're probably going to replace Khalid in trying to find an immediate backup. Like Milo Eifert is probably that 3rd string guy who's going to back up either Cole or Jamin. And then David Mayo, same. I think David is the immediate backup, David Mayo to Cole Holcomb. But I think somebody needs to replace or maybe have to improve the spot of Khalid Hudson in case that he has to get on the field. But that's my guess. If you go linebacker, you're not replacing Cole or Jamin. You're not even replacing David Mayo. David Mayo is he's solidified a spot on this roster, but you're replacing, I think, Khalid Hudson if you decide to add in veteran presence at linebacker or somebody off of the waiver wire. Defensive line, if you ultimately add in a guy from the waiver wire, a veteran or something like that, you're looking at maybe, to be honest with you, you're probably looking at Shaka Toney in terms of trying to fill out that spot. If you're looking for a true situational rusher that can provide like a veteran presence and knows how to get home consistently, you're probably looking at a guy who can take Shaka Toney's projected role in this defense, and saying, Shaka, we're going to put you on the practice squad or something like that. I don't think they think of Shaka Toney as this prized possession that they won't be willing to risk in the waiver wire to put him on the practice squad. But that's only if they can find veterans. That's kind of where I'm at. Granted, you're glad he made it there, but if that shit was live, that cost you the game. That's a fact. Lakey was my boy. Milo just built for it, but the waiver is definitely going to be a tool come Tuesday post cuts. Yes, sir. All right, so we talked about linebackers and defensive line. We'll ultimately get into position group breakdown as we head into the season. Expect that next Tuesday, because this week we are gonna, like I said, the podcast is on. And matter of fact, Alex, I'm gonna check in with you now, making sure we good, because I think Alex is going to join us for this episode. But this week we'll do a little bit of recapping and stuff like that. But position group breakdowns, expect that next Tuesday, and things like that. So linebackers, Cole, Jamin. I mean, that's a questionable unit in the sense that you got to see if these guys can be an above average unit to like very good. Like, you don't know where the gap is. You don't know that just yet. But you do like what Jamin Davis has done this preseason. A lot of people that I've heard, again, remember, for those who are just tuning in, I was not able to watch the game live. And I was able to catch up on replays and also hear recaps. And like, just off of the strength of knowing the situation that Jamin Davis is in, I didn't make it a big deal that he was an individual who was in trouble because he played in that last preseason game. Here's the thing. We've talked about, and then leading up into the last preseason game, a lot of you all disagreed, which is fine, right? You know, it's okay to have disagreements. I ain't tripping off that. But the disagreements stem from like playing the starters in the third preseason game. My thing is, and I'm gonna rehash this one more time because I got to. Two things. If you weren't going to play the starters for more than the draft, you'd rather not play them at all. So I'm glad that barely any starters played. Benjamin St-Juste obviously played. Jamin Davis played. James Smith-Williams played. Daniel Wise played, though he wasn't a starter, but he's a guy who I think is going to contribute significantly. But ultimately, when it comes to Jamin Davis, and my point is, like, some people need the work. And while I think that this entire team needed the work and that they should have played on both sides of the ball, the starters, at least a couple possessions, some people aren't excluded from being on the field because they're projected starters or people who are going to be on the field a lot of the time. So it's good that they got some work, some additional work. And Jamin Davis is probably a guy where they thought that he had a really good preseason. I thought that he had a really good preseason, but ultimately they want him to see a little bit more and have a better feel, like continuing his development. Like he could really use a game like this where he's getting some early work in. That does not indicate that David Mayo is in a higher spot than him. That's speculation that I think that it's overblown. If there's anything that's overblown with Jamin Davis in the linebacker spot, I just think that they wanted to see a guy who is their first round pick continue to grow and continue to see situations for what they are. And I think again for Jamin Davis, he had another good outing. Like it came by easy for him. So I think we have to take all these things into account. It is not an issue with Jamin Davis being on the field. And I think for those that you may hear talk about how significant of a role it was for David Mayo to not be on the field, but Jamin Davis was, I don't take it serious, and I honestly think that y'all shouldn't either. Our defensive scheme is way too dependent on the defensive line getting home. The pressure is not consistent. Opposing lines will eat in the second level. Pressure, well, depends. Like the run game, yeah. I'm actually pretty confident in the run game. I think the run defense is going to be pretty impressive this year, probably top 10. I'm saying if I had to make a claim for sure, I'm saying they're probably like a top 7 unit in run defense. And I'm saying this now, if something happens, you all can clown me, but that's how confident I am in the run game, is that they'll be able to hold it down on that side of the ball. Pass rush is probably my biggest concern, and creating pressure and getting home is probably my biggest concern, but I do think defensive line in the front 7 will probably be pretty good in the run game. Okay. Yes, sir. You know I'm with it. That's a bet. I saw it live. I can tell you some things I saw. But yeah, that's a bet, Alex. We definitely gonna tap in there and make sure I send that link before I forget today. Okay, so he needs all the live reps. Carry that momentum into the season. People forget he was a raw prospect coming from Kentucky. He didn't see much football. There you go. Some people need work. Chase Young was born on my birthday. Hey man. You gotta get a signed jersey or a signed football from that man, bro. If you ever in the area to do like a training camp, you know what I'm saying? Talk to that guy. Talk to that guy. Okay, so where are we at? We did linebackers. All right, so cornerbacks and safeties, and we up out of here. William Jackson III, Kendall Fuller, Benjamin St-Juste, Danny Johnson, Corn Elder, and Christian Holmes. What do y'all think about Danny Johnson? And I'm gonna drink me some water while I hear back from y'all. But what do y'all think about Danny Johnson? So we have William, Kendall, BSJ, Danny Johnson, Corn Elder, Christian Holmes. Chase Forever Young. Shout out to Corn gay Hall of David. Oh Lord Jesus. I feel like that's a Game of Thrones reference. Or maybe an ode to Game of Thrones. Shout out to Game of Thrones, the new Game of Thrones, by the way, because I'm locked in. I was locked in from like the first 20 minutes. I'm like, the show is back like it never left. I don't know if you all a big Game of Thrones fan, but I was locked in from the jump. So you say serviceable DB, nothing more. Okay. So ultimately, William Jackson, Kendall, BSJ, you know, perfectly fine. But looking at these names, if there's gonna be anything, because I think that the biggest thing for cornerbacks is that these guys need the help. And if Danny Johnson is one of your immediate backups, you are in trouble. I definitely don't think he need to be backing up anybody in the slot. That's probably where his biggest issues are. Boundary cornerback, okay. But from the slot position, I think that's going to be your biggest issue if you have Danny Johnson out there. So now, in essence, we have to look at the safeties because you have Bobby McCain, Cam Curl, Derek Forrest, Percy Butler. Derek Forrest and Percy Butler are capable of checking the tight ends and maybe the slot receivers if you need help. Percy Butler for sure. He can check your slot receivers. Benjamin St-Juste, check your slot receivers. And that's as strong as it gets. Like they may, if there's anything in terms of priorities in the waiver wire, you're probably going to look at cornerback. Because that's such a mix. Like it's very top heavy. Your starters is really as good as it gets. William Jackson, Kendall Fuller, Benjamin St-Juste. That's as good as it gets, bruh. And then you have Bobby McCain, and I said Derek Forrest, but I really meant Bobby McCain and Percy Butler. Those are and Cam Curl in a sense. Those three are interchangeable in terms of being able to cover receivers as well. Like those are your guys. And if you can't trust Danny Johnson, Cornell, to Christian Holmes, granted Holmes is a rookie, but if you can't trust these guys off the brink to, you know, carry or at least immediately back up your guys, then these reserve roles are dangerous. So I think if there's anything, it's going to be the slot cornerback, backup, immediate backups for Washington trying to get somebody off the waiver wire. More than anything, linebacker or defensive end. I actually think that it may be cornerbacks, bro. Because I'm just looking through the roster. It's tough, bro. We need more speed at the position. We need people who ain't gonna get beat by no double moves. Danny Johnson got his boy. Somebody took his cornbread multiple times this preseason. Somebody took that man cornbread multiple times, bro. They ain't even ask him if he wanted it, bro. They just said, "Hey, give me that shit, bro. Hey, give me that." I don't know, man. It's just an interesting situation with the secondary. The more I look at it on paper and understanding that, like, I'm not that impressed by Danny Johnson, Corn Elder, Christian Holmes. I just give a little slack because he's a rookie. But I don't think he played terribly. I don't think he played bad. But it wasn't like something where you say, okay, we got something in Christian Holmes. Like, he was just there. He was existing, if that makes sense. Jeremy Reeves, Percy Butler, Derek Forrest, Cam Curl, Bobby McCain. Solid safety unit. I had no issues with these guys. Percy Butler, I think that his role for Washington is going to be that of special teams early on. LeBron once described his team top heavy. That's exactly what this team is. To be picking on Shorty. Yes, they do. So I think ultimately when it comes to the safeties, bruh, safeties are his strongest thing. But Percy Butler, I'm think like they want to use him as a post safety, right? But ultimately early on, special teams is going to be his key. But when maybe Bobby McCain or maybe somebody needs a breather, or knock on wood, you know, somebody gets injured, but, you know, hopefully it doesn't happen. Percy's I don't think he's filling in the slot. I think he's going straight to post and ultimately work from there. So I'm interested in seeing how they utilize Percy in his rookie year, but I wouldn't expect much out of him to start this thing. So, we'll see how it goes. But ultimately, that is the projected roster from NBC Sports Washington. I think, if anything, again, certain position battles was very small. To sum it up before we get Hawk in here and close out. To sum it up, I think if there's going to be position spots or roster additions, it comes first from the cornerback spot and Danny Johnson, seeing if they can replace Danny Johnson or maybe bury him in the roster and maybe pick up Christian Holmes that's like a practice squad guy. But Danny Johnson will be key there. Safeties are fine. Linebackers, if they do move from or try to make some additions, it's going to be from the immediate backup spot. Khaleke Hudson. I think Milo Eifert has earned a spot on the team. Let's see, defensive line. If there's going to be any additions there, Shaka Toney would be the guy that they consider moving on from a practice squad standpoint, not necessarily getting rid of completely. And then offensively, center and tackle is pretty thin, but ultimately heavy in the interior side, and you have a rotation guy in Cornelius Lucas who can really help out in a pinch. Tight ends perfectly fine. Logan Thomas, John Bates, Cole Turner, Armani Rogers. Solid group with Logan Thomas expected to be back. Cole Turner expected to be back. Armani Rogers is healthy walking into it. Wide receiver, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, Cam Sims, Dax Milne. All locks earned themselves a roster spot this preseason. De'Ami Brown default is that third round draft pick and has to work his way through his mental issues and overcoming situations that he's had. Running backs, Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick. But then we have to incorporate maybe Jonathan Williams. My opinion is Jonathan Williams. And having Brian Robinson possibly start on PUP, if not short-term IR, depending on how that works out. And obviously quarterbacks, all three, Carson Taylor, Sam Howell stays. Sam Howell is QB3, reserve role, probably is not active on game day, but has a chance to prove himself this year through scout team reps and his development in front of the eyes of the coaches. So let's go get the boy. He said fast enough for single high position. Yeah, he has to see things a little bit quicker and process a little bit better, but ultimately agree with the point in that he's fast enough for the single high position, an eraser in a sense. Okay, let's go ahead and get the guy in this thing, bruh. Boom. Go ahead and get.
Good morning.
Good morning, big dog. Let me go ahead and remove this banner. Boom, there we go. How you feeling, man? Everything good? What's going on, Hawk?
Oh, man, absolutely, man. First of all, man, good morning unto you, man. Ball, man. Tribe or Die morning show, man. The best morning show. Well, ever since I found y'all, man, the best morning show. You know what I'm saying, man? Out here, man.
Appreciate it,
man. Man, Maul, man, you one of the coolest dudes on here, man. And shout out to the team, man. Shout out to Tribe or Die, the whole team, man. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate that. Appreciate the strong words, man. Definitely, dog.
Man,
like I said earlier, appreciate that donation too. I didn't see it real time, but I saw it in my email after the show, so I appreciate that.
Man, Maul, just know, man. As I go, man, trust and believe, man, I got to go ahead and uplift my brothers, man. I got to, man. It's, it's the only way. It's the only way.
Yes, sir. Hey, yes, so talk to me, man. How was your weekend? I know you went to the game. You had to deal with wifey because they got another dub. They got another dub. You know what I'm saying? Man. But you went to the game. I'm sure you enjoyed yourself, though. I know because the atmosphere out there is always pretty good.
Oh my God. Well, have you been to a game on M&T?
I have not. I think if I did go, it's probably like a long time ago with the preseason Washington did like 04 or 05, but I don't remember if that was FedEx or
Bro, you got to go. You got to go. You got to go because I'm gonna tell you, man, that M&T Bank Stadium, man, they kick our butts at FedEx. I mean the stadium itself, they kick our butts. It's a very, very nice place. You know what I mean? I mean,
it's right. It's in my lane too. It's right off the Beltway. I mean, right off where I 695. Or 295 really, but it's right down the street. Like me getting back on the road, bro. I love it.
Yeah, man. I mean, bro. Just as soon as as soon as we walked in, bro, I was just like, yo, this is ridiculous. And then one of the first things we got, man, we went in and got some libations, and as you know, I don't think we're going to be able to do that at FedEx, so. We went ahead and got our little drinky drink, you know what I'm saying? But
you get the Cutwater joint. You get the Cutwater joint. That's pretty popular nowadays.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I know you know about the Cutwater.
Yeah, hey. Before I go into, man, praise up to Brian Robinson, man. I hope all is well, man. I kind of according to the story that I did see, I think the incident took place around 8th Street.
Yeah.
And I was like, God dang, man. Just out there, man. You know what I'm saying? But just praise up to him, man. Aside from that, man, just to recap what I saw, man, on the field. I mean, look, man. Look, the Ravens, man. Ravens fans, man, they support their team. I mean, we were out there, Washington fans, we were out there, but it was like, goodness gracious, it's a whole bunch of purple out here. On the field, ball. I saw some good things.
Well, actually, before you go, I'm sorry, I had a question. I'm tripping. So I'm tripping. Not about the fans itself, but just generally, I'm just generally curious. When you went there, was the lower bowl field for a preseason game, or was it like dispersed similar to like a FedEx situation in terms of like it wasn't that many people in there? Was it like noticeably large for a preseason game?
Yeah. Oh no, bro. I mean, honestly, man. When I looked around, and matter of fact, I got some footage too, man. When I looked around, bro, like the lower level seats, pretty much taken, and okay. you look up to the bleachers, well, nosebleeds that we call them nosebleeds, bro. Them jumps was filled up too. You know what I mean? Wow. So yeah, man. It was a big deal.
That is some support, bro. That's some goddamn support.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, bro. It was big, man. It was big, but I mean, pause. But anyway, so pause. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, look, it's funny because I'm over here like we talking about big for the stadium, and I'm like, oh goddamn.
Right. Yeah,
all right, man. Hey, football now. All right, football.
Yeah. But ball, man. But they're football though, man. So like I said, man, I saw some good things. For one, hey, bro, if you was in attendance, you could have got yourself a free 6-piece nugget because Joey the Sly Cat, missed a field goal. You know what I'm saying? So for every field goal, they was giving out free 6-piece nuggets at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? That was one bad thing I saw.
Shout out to Joey Slide. Do you think we got a kicker problem? Because I really don't. I'm not driving into it just yet. Oh, you think so? Okay, talk to me. Talk to me right quick. What you think? What you think about that kicker problem?
All right. So my thing is, bro, I forgot the kicker's name before him, but bro, we haven't had
Chris Blewett.
Yeah. And bro, and even before Chris done blew it, you know what I mean? Honestly, bro, we just haven't had a consistent kicker for a while, bro. We really haven't. And like for Joey Sly, I think he missed how many field goals has he missed? Like 2 or 3 this preseason.
So he missed 1 field goal and he missed 1 extra point.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To me, that's unacceptable, man. It's just if you got one job. Yeah. And mind you, these kicks, they're not far. You know what I'm saying? They're not 40, 50, 60. They're like like inside the 40 on in.
Yeah. The wildest thing is like one of the issues when we talk about kickers from the past, Dustin Hopkins, like he was clearly the most consistent kicker, but the reason why he got let go is because you couldn't first off, you couldn't trust him. It's crazy how you really couldn't trust him in certain situations. Like I don't remember at this point if it was inside the 40 or if it was beyond inside 40 yards or beyond 35 yards. I don't remember which one it was, but it was like he missed like some of the easier kicks that you can really count on for a kicker, and that's ultimately with the broken trust between Hopkins and the coaching staff. But like he was the consistent kicker for Washington, and he still wasn't a person that you can trust.
Exactly, man. And that was, I mean, like I said, man, special teams, especially when it comes to close games, special teams is crucial. And for Sly to miss that field goal, that's pretty much one of the reasons why we lost the game. Because if he makes a field goal, the score is 18-17. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We win the game. So gotta, I mean, if he's still going to be on the roster, you know what I mean. They got to. He's got to do what he needs to do. Talk to the sports psychiatrist. With psychologists and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, you was just at Baltimore. Get some wise words of encouragement from Justin Tucker. Something.
Hey, Ron said he's anxious, man. He get real heavy on that first kick, and that's why he misses. So, whatever Ron says must be the truth.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. But then, yeah. Oh, I was gonna say other things that I saw, man. For the most part, bro. Well, like I said, our first drive, when we were moving the ball pretty well. And so we went in, missed the field goal. Second drive, I think. Our second drive was then. I believe is when we did get the field goal. And bro, like Sam Howell, you know what? If we would have been, well, if we could have been the Red Wolves instead of the Commanders, bro, imagine a whole bunch of fans at FedEx howl. Because that would have been perfect. That would have been a match made in heaven, bro.
They would have asked him to be the starter over Wentz just for that.
Just for that, bro. From a marketing standpoint,
I'm trying to howl with Hal.
Right, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Just from a marketing standpoint, but no, they were doing, they were doing good, bro. The offensive line. You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, Alex Erickson, he was really trying. He was one receiver to me that stood out when I was watching the game live. So I was like, that dude really trying to get a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Erickson. I know. Matt Cole had a good catch on the sideline. Sam Howell threw a great ball. Gave this guy an opportunity, and he made a play. Matt Cole did. Mm-hmm. Tight ends. I know a couple of them got open that actually Sam Howell actually missed. But he got open over the middle a couple of times, and I don't think that anybody's really going to overtake what's his name, Armani Rogers' spot. I think he's safe. Curtis Hodges probably cut, if not practice squad, and then obviously the two new tight ends that they brought in. I don't think they're going to overcome. They didn't do enough in their one outing to really say that Armani's going to be the guy that they replaced. So. Yeah, I like how the receivers ultimately played. Obviously, the one glaring conversation or glaring problem was what's his name, Dyami Brown. But I've said a couple times, I don't know when you joined Hawk, but I think a lot of his was mental versus actual performance. Because last year he wasn't a person who really had ball security issues. Like he had one drop last year for sure, but he wasn't a guy who showed that he was scared to take on contact or he was scared to go over the middle. Or make plays on the ball. Like he was never that guy last year. So, or at least from my eyes, and maybe the coaches saw something else that made them believe that may have been the case. But this preseason is an eye opener to me, and I first lean mental. I don't think it's skill set. Yeah,
man, Maul, man. He had one good catch that I saw, Dyami Brown, and then he had a terrible drop. I was like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Because I'm rooting, you know what I mean? There's certain guys you're rooting for to go ahead and make the roster. He's one of them. I'm rooting, but I'm like, come on, dude. You know what I mean? Because matter of fact, if anything, he was kind of leaving the door open for what's your boy's name? Michelle. He was leaving the door open for him. Yeah, he was leaving the door open for him.
Yeah. What's
no? About the defense. Just want to go ahead. I got to give some love to the defense because they definitely prevented Tyler Huntley from scoring. They definitely prevented him from scoring. You know what I mean? So what was it? Our second team defense versus their second team offense. You know what I mean? But then as soon as Anthony Brown came in, and I ain't gonna lie, like the Ravens, they kind of did have a cheat code because DeMarcus Robinson, he's going to be on their opening day roster. You know what I mean?
He's a starter. Yeah. He was really good at Kansas City.
And let me tell you something. He
was good. I ain't gonna slice it. He was good.
Yeah, man. Hey, Maul, man. He got some people cut from our team that game, man.
You know what I'm saying? Look, they made their bed themselves. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. If y'all seen, I didn't even bother putting it up against Carolina because like I knew DeJuan Neal wasn't necessarily going to be a guy that's going to make a case for the roster, but like DeJuan bit on double teams like 3 or 4 times against the Panthers. And I may be exaggerating, but it was definitely at least 2 times where he bit on double teams against the Panthers, and Matt Corral just didn't see the guy. Like he was so locked in on another person, he did not see the guy who beat DeJuan Neal. And Neal got beat once, and then obviously, you know, Danny Johnson got beat once as well.
Yeah. I said, goodness. I mean, honestly, man, that day on, that Anthony Brown touchdown, I remember that, that where DeMarcus Robinson scored, like you said on that slant and go. I said, oof. I said, young man. That's all I can do is shake my head, man. The other thing, let me see.
Hey, Mike is right too. Percy was beat on that Danny Johnson one too. Both of them bit on that slant.
Yeah. What is it? Benjamin Victor for the Ravens. He had a catch on us. I want to say, I kind of want to say that it was the same dude, number 37.
Yeah, that was the Neal play. That was DeJuan Neal. He didn't. Now he didn't get beat on the double team in that one. No, he got beat a lot. He got beat a couple times in the Panthers game. But yeah, that was just straight boundary. He wasn't able to keep up with the guy and bent like you said. Victor got that boy. He made a play.
He made a play. He's He just made a play. I mean. Well, overall, their receivers were making plays, but but aside from the big plays, for the most part, they did keep the guys in front of them. So I did like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it just sucks that sometimes, they would catch the ball for like, 10-yard games almost. You know what I mean? Other than that, look, I guess it's improving because again, last year when this game was played in Landover FedEx, we only scored 3 points. They multiplied that by 5, you got 15. You know what I mean? He multiplied that, you got 15. You know what I mean? We almost won the game. If not for
we did much better than we did in 2022 than we did in 2021. Kudos to the Commanders.
You know what I'm saying? But Maul, man, I'm trying to look at it glass half full, but I ain't gonna lie though. Toledo, the depth on our team, I don't think it's good, man. I think overall we're in a pretty similar position than we were last year. You know what I mean? Like linebackers is just it's suspect at, you know what I'm saying? Well, you know what, Kevin, late great Kevin Samuels average at best. Just you know what I'm saying, just overall, bro. Just overall. I mean, honestly, man, the starters are going to go ahead. Well, on offense specifically, they're going to go and have to, like, smash the gas pedal. You know what I'm saying? Just you know what I'm saying, just blow some teams out if you can. Far as scoring points wise, defense, you got to get. We got to get home. We'll hit home consistently. And, when it comes to special teams, we just got to make sure that we go ahead and, pin teams down, inside the 20, far as like punting wise, and make sure that we, make our field goals. You know what I'm saying? Because Joey, the sly one, man, come on, dude. Come on.
Hey, look, at the end of the day, and appreciate you hopping on, because I do want to answer this. So at the end of the day, to your point, it really just comes down to, actually, I don't want to use the word perfect in description to the Commanders, but what it is, like, you don't have that much opportunity or room for mistakes or room for error when it comes to the Commanders. Like, they aren't good enough for those small mistakes and overcoming them. Like, they aren't the Bengals or the Kansas City Chiefs who can have like 4 turnovers in a game. And I may be exaggerating because I know the Kansas City had 3 turnovers, I think, against us. But they blew us out. They skunked us 21-0 in the second half. But like,
you're not exaggerating at all, bro. You are not exaggerating. You are absolutely.
We don't have
correct.
room for opportunities where we can be that careless on either side of the ball and think that we can overcome a situation like that and win a game. And I'm not saying that to dishearten anybody who's very optimistic about the team. But the truth of the matter is, what Hawk talked about, he said that these guys are lacking depth. And that's one thing, but also another thing that you mentioned, not literally you, Hawk, but that you mentioned when it comes to like defense and offense, like defense specifically, they have to find a way to be opportunistic and also have a knack for creating turnovers, because if they aren't doing that, especially like this entire unit who actually played throughout this preseason and just from a overall side of the football, like there was no turnovers forced. The one turnover that was had was actually called back because I think that was the face mask play or something like that, and in the Panthers game, like that was and that was a fumble. Like you're not forcing turnovers through the air, and you're not forcing quarterbacks into mistakes. And sure, it may be vanilla schemes or vanilla concepts, like you're showing your shell, like you're not disguising anything. That's cool, but ultimately, like, where is the people that wants to make plays for this defense? Like, can we have somebody that we're saying, okay, where's our Jimmy? What's the guy's name? Jimmy, he got cut by his, good Lord. God damn it. Jimmy, the cornerback.
Yeah. Jimmy Moreland.
Jimmy Moreland. Thank God. I was like, where's our Jimmy Moreland at? Like, you saw him in preseason. He was all around the ball, forcing fumbles, making interceptions. Like, you got to understand that for the defensive side of the football, it's who's going to stand out for this team and make some plays. Because if you don't have nobody doing that, bro, you're going to have a lot of possessions where it's going to be either 3 and outs or long drives and nothing where you creating a short field for your offense.
What I wouldn't do to have Jimmy Moreland back with us right now, man, because we need. I'm telling you, man, because outside of honestly, I would kind of put Jimmy Moreland ahead of St. Juice at this point.
Hold on. I don't know about that one.
I mean, I need St. Juice. I need St. Juice to go ahead and put people in that daggone confessional. Lock them in there until they confess their sins, man. Don't let them see the ball. Man.
All right. Let me go ahead and get up out of here, though, Hug. Appreciate you coming through. As always,
Brody,
you
man.
already
Anytime,
know that.
Anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be back on Wednesday. Let me get out of here. All right, hold on 1 second. Boom. And obviously appreciate Hawk coming on and chopping it up with us. As always, you already know we do open up the floor to anybody and everybody that wants to join. Same thing happening on Wednesday. And Wednesday for the Commanders Morning Show this week will be the last one. I'm going on vacation Thursday, so right before the season starts, you gotta get that time in right quick, But yeah, next Wednesday or this upcoming Wednesday, Commanders Morning Show. Tomorrow we will have Chopper Dive Podcast, 7 p.m. Eastern with AJ, Alex, and Dre checking in as well. So I did see your question, and I'll answer that right quick. My favorite uniform, I like the white on white. David, I like the white on white. The ones that I've seen so far, like on the players in the game, I like the white on white. Them Jones is clean. Them Jones is motherfucking clean. Do you hear me? Yeah, bro. I love the white on white ones. I do want to see the black ones. I can't wait long enough for those, but I think the black ones is gonna be clean too, because I just love all black anyway. But the white on whites is my favorite one so far. And yeah, you already know it. The kicker issue is something like I did mean to say too. I don't think the kicker, and it's my last one, I promise, but I don't think the kicker thing is a huge problem yet. But I did notate that he misses kicks in pregame warmups too. So I'm not naive, but I don't think it's a huge problem yet. But I do understand that he's missed pregame warm-up kicks, and he's missed 2 kicks in the actual game itself too. So I got my eye on it, but I'm not too concerned just yet because it's preseason for everybody. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Rocking the black unis twice this season. All right. Well, we need it four next year. We need it 4 times next year. But yeah, with that being said, hey, everybody enjoy y'all Monday, man. Get back to work or start your morning. Start your work this morning, whatever. I don't know, whatever you got going on, man. I got to handle my business on my side too. So y'all take care. Y'all be easy. Let's see this last comment. All right. We out of here, man. Peace.